And it's nice to see that it's, sometimes if you really work on it and you find people that you feel that connection with, things kind of work out.
It's Kyrie. Yes, if you don't know me, get to know me. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Kyrie Cool? And what's up, Greece people? If I've got it right, Greece, yeah. Guys, I'm doing another interview, which is jaw dropping again. A lot of bands from Greece. I believe this is my third one, if I'm correct. If I got the numbers right, from Greece. So I feel like there's a lot of support there. However, I am here with a band called, I apologize if I get it wrong, community. Is it Saisei? If I've got it right, yeah. I feel like whenever I try to pronounce
Yes.
things, I say it totally wrong. And I'm with the lead singer, Staffis, the clean vocalist from this band. Guys, the opportunities for these interviews is amazing. I got so much more coming as the months go by. We're going to smash 2025. But if you'd like to introduce yourself, Staffis, yeah, to the audience out there and to the community of Kyber Crew.
Of course. Yeah, my name is Stathis. I'm the lead vocalist for a band called Saisei. We're a mixture between post-hardcore and metalcore based in Athens, Greece. And we just released our first debut album almost exactly a month ago, December 4th.
Outstanding. That's amazing. Your first debut album, like building that and taking your time, because I know when it comes to music, like the graft and like the ups and downs you have to go through to create a whole album and then release it. I bet you're so happy with that accomplishment. And one of the things I'm going to start off with, because we're going to just go straight into the questions, is one of your biggest features, Kellen Quinn. Now, I did like a quick little
Yeah.
research on the person. I know he's an American like rock singer, if I'm correct, a musician, who's a lead singer of Sleeping with the Sirens. And you've done a feature and a song. Your band's done that. So how did that happen, and how did it occur? Tell us a story.
Well, we're a metalcore band, but we're all like huge fans of emo bands and post-hardcore and that kind of genre that really bloomed in the early zeros. And Sleeping with Sirens is one of those bands whose hit songs like we're all mostly familiar with. So how it came about is our previous screamer, because we have two vocalists in the band. I do the clean singing, another one does the screaming, and we had a lineup change in between the writing sessions for this record. So the previous screamer, who has like amazing ideas on vocals, wrote this vocal part, and it was very very clear from the start. We didn't have to make a conversation about it that it was going to be someone else, and it was very obviously a Kellen Quinn-esque part. So we were like, who's going to sing this like Kellen Quinn? And we just thought to ourselves, why don't we ask like the guy himself?
Fair.
There was this website called Featured X that you used to get, you know, people that are pretty popular in rock and metal genres to sing parts for you. And but that website got shut down.
Oh, okay.
But we were like, let's go ahead and reach out to him anyway because we got his email back in the day, and he just responded that, yeah, cool, of course, I'm gonna do the part for you guys. He recorded it. The tracks were awesome, and that's how it came about. It was pretty easy, way more
Wow.
convenient than you'd ever think. Yeah.
When you said you had his email previously, how did that occur? Was that just randomly by accident, or was it a previous communication you
It
guys
was
had?
it was it was available on that website, and
I
we had
see.
screenshot it and sent it to each other. We were like, "Yo, he's available. We could do that." And I think his email was written there. I could be wrong, but I think that's how we got it.
Oh, okay, I see. Nah, that's it. I find it so cool how like people like Kellen Quinn. As I said, he's quite new to me. I haven't heard of him before, but so successful as he is, because I did a quick little research on him to like accept it. Because you always get like I feel like people, you have an image of like these like famous people and you feel like they might be stuck up, but it's very nice how they're like really generous, especially like up and coming music and up and coming bands
Yeah.
from all across the world. So to him to accept it, that's amazing. I've heard of the song. I feel like it's fantastic. The blend you guys got really jaw dropped me, which is just amazing. So I feel like you guys got mad potential to like progress your future to see how far it can go, which is perfect for the next
Thank
question.
you, man. Thank you so much.
No worries, but you're good at what you do, which is perfect for the next question. Is your latest album? You said you just recently debuted it, and I want to know the process behind it. I want to know how like your band members or how yourself came together, wrote the albums, the struggles, the cons, the good stuff. Like, how did it come about? What was the process like?
So this album is the result of a process that's been going on for, I would say, almost 2 years. Um, we had previously released a couple of tracks that were kind of the first stage of this band, which was more tied to what you would think of as a metalcore band. But none of us really listened to just one genre of music. So we naturally progressed to wanting to blend all the styles of music we were listening to. And it happened naturally, it wasn't something we forced because all our demos were all over the place. So really the process of making the album was more more like what do we leave out and how do we um, make this mess make sense? You know, how do we make this um, jumbled musical material
Mm,
coalesce together in a way that is also concise and it makes sense as a you know, as a bunch of tracks following each other that will not throw you off. And I think the feedback we're getting so far is pretty awesome in that no one is like, oh, this really threw me off. This song doesn't sound like you guys. I mean, everyone understood we're going for something else, but
mm.
our audience seems to be very along for the ride so far.
Nice, nice. So I take it that you got quite a strong audience. Is it mainly around Greece, around Athens? Like with myself, being like a YouTube reactor, my audience is very international. Have you got an audience base very strong, mainly in Greece, or do you have like an international audience?
Um, our guitar player and brave leader Stamatis is more aware of our where our audience is because he's very keen on the marketing side of things. So he does our Facebook ads and he's very aware of where our crowd is. I think most of our fans online are in Germany and Spain,
Nice.
some other European countries as well. But obviously, even though statistically Greece isn't kind of follows those. Obviously, through word of mouth and actually playing shows here, we still have a strong audience that always shows up, which is not as common as you would think,
Mm,
especially in our scene because the metalcore scene in Greece is very fresh.
mm.
But also, there's a very strong sense of brotherhood with other bands, like Till Silence Breaks, Kiss Me Cleopatra, and another band you've interviewed, which is Nonlinear.
Yes.
We all know each other. We go to each other's shows. People go to see like one band, and they're very keen on discovering the other guys on the bill. So yeah, there's a very strong sense of support, at least in this scene at this moment.
That's amazing. It's so cool how everyone kind of knows each other. I say it's quite cool. It's quite common in the UK, like especially if you're an up and coming artist, if you're in the scene, people know other people. But I
Yeah.
like how everyone knows each other and the support is massively there. So whether people are aware of this or not aware of this, for your audience, like how would you describe your music? I know you said like your audience has kind of got an idea of the sort of sound that was presented through the album, but for people that are unaware of your music or what style of genre you are, how would you describe the music that you play to your audience?
That's always a tough question because you don't really know what to say, but we've done it so much. I think the most I would say professional answer is I mean, there's definitely the root of all of it is core because
Mm,
that's kind of the background of most of the guys. And I would say it's post-hardcore with electronic core elements and some slight emo sprinkles like all over.
fair, fair.
Yeah, there's a lot of electronic elements. The base of the whole thing is like post-hardcore riffs and big choruses, but there's also a lot of screams. So I think if when you combine all that, people can kind of assume what you're going for. And I would say maybe someone would be more um, willing to listen to us if we just describe the kind of bands we're going for, which is a very similar vibe. They're also rooted in metalcore, but steer off different directions, which are obviously Bring the Horizon, Sleep Token, and Bad Omens. I think those bands are kind of the prime example of not what we're trying to sound like, but the kind of direction we're going for.
I could definitely hear that, especially in a punk one. I need to
Yeah,
dive into a lot more music that you guys listen to. Sorry, listen to? Play, apologies. But the one you did with Kellen Quinn, definitely, you could definitely feel that vibe. And I feel like your clean vocals really comes well. The harsh adds a great aggressiveness to it because it really adds like that switch up. People like wouldn't expect it to come and they're like, oh, okay, but I like this blend and I feel like this can obviously go really well. And it gives it that, for me, it gives that intriguing factor what I wanted to listen to more and listen to more and listen to more. So yeah, I feel like you guys have got
yeah.
something really good, man. Um, what about in the album when you were creating it? Everyone's probably asked you this question loads of times, but is there a favorite song you have? Is there one song within the album you guys have, or does everyone have a different type of favorite song within the album? Yeah, what's your favorite song?
My favorite song is Swan. I think it's most of the guys' favorite song, to be honest. If you took an average, um, it's probably the most. It's like the most different song of all of them. It's the sound. It's the one that sounds like the typical Saisei sound the least. But it's a personal favorite because it's so melodic, and I got to explore something I was really interested in lyrically. Um, it's basically like we called it the Circus Survive song
Okay.
because it sounds a lot like it doesn't sound like that band, but there's like a strong influence from it. And yeah, it's just the most emotional song of all of them that I get attached to.
Okay. Can I ask
I
why? Like,
legitimately like the whole album though.
fair. Can I ask why? Is there
Yeah.
like was it a personal experience you went through in the past, like yourself individually? Was it a band member
Yeah.
experience that when there was something that was bad in the past or something that happened in the last year? If you don't mind, ask like if you don't mind me questioning, you don't have to open up. It's totally up to you. But yeah, was there a reason why Swan was mainly everyone's favorite and that emotional connection that you just described?
Yeah. Of course I'm going to open up. I'm being interviewed here. Um it's a it's a song about like personal relationships, and I understand how cliche that sounds. Most of the album is about that, but for me it's interesting because it explores this relationship that, went awry, but it's through a perspective from, a certain distance. It's not like fresh where you blame the person or you're like the victim in the thing, which is
Yeah.
like I understand songs like that. We do have some like that, but I appreciate a more mature approach. And it basically it's a simile between a relationship and a card game. So the lyrics are Texas Hold'em
Ooh.
until the end, lend a burden I can spend. It's basically, saying you're playing a sort of solitaire every time you enter a relationship, and it's not this thing, this vague thing where um, you don't really know what's going to happen in the end. You're basically compromising. You're sacrificing something, and and lift the other person, or it happens the other way around. But then you feel like you're owed something, and it's these immature mind games that always happen in relationships. And I think I was very happy to kind of find the words to express that, at least in a way that satisfies me as a listener. Yeah, so that was it. It also has a very cool bridge that I do a lot of vocals on. That's my biased, um, you know, like perspective on why I think it's the best song.
Fair. No, that's amazing, man.
Yeah,
Like, songs are meant to have that. That if you don't have a connection to it, if there's not like a heartfelt type of expression you're placing on the song when you create music, is never gonna be something you love. And I hope your audience can relate to that from what you've just described, and I hope people out there can relate to that. Everything people need to know, especially this album, especially the feature with Kellen Quinn. I'm going to drop links in the description. But yeah, outstanding. No, that's amazing. I like how, like, well, I appreciate you opening up and telling obviously the meaning behind it. So I like that factor. So yeah, I appreciate that. I want to dive into more of what your band's name is, and I think it's perfect to dive into this with what you've just described because it's all about a form of second chance. So that's what says is it Saisei if I say it right
Yes.
means. So I want to know like what did your whether it's you or different type of band members, what kind of like struggles you went through? Because reading about yourself, there was a lot of struggles, regrets in the past that you guys had that you feel like it shaped who you are today. So, what are the sort of experiences you've like gone through out for the years? And if you can help me understand when did the band originally form to know like the experiences that you went through in the years to give the name or create the name Saisei, which everyone, if you're not aware, is a Japanese word which means second chance. So yeah, if you'd like to expand on that for me, please.
You've said the band name correct every time.
I just feel like
Every
I
single
might mess
time.
it up.
Yeah. So we started this band 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago, I guess. I joined the band. I wasn't like a founding member. Funny story. I was like a guest on their first one of their first songs,
Okay.
which is hilarious. Because then the guy who sang clean on that song became our screamer. Anyway, it's like a whole thing.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, the song is the band name is a concept by our previous drummer, who was my best friend, and also I was the best man at his wedding,
Oh, amazing.
Dimitris Passas, who came up with the name, and he also came up with our initial concept of our Japanese themed trilogy, which had 3 tracks, Kintsugi, Hachiman, and Tsukuyomi, which they all kind of form a concept. And the meaning of the name has to do with most of us being in other bands and musical projects that we were very keen on, and tried to make something of them and didn't work out, or are still pursuing and are not
Mm,
working out. And that brought us together as a it's kind of a meta reference to our own lives. And obviously it also contains non-musical pursuits, like personal struggles and things that people might open up about or not. But it's basically the sense of we're not starting this band like we're 18 or 20 years old again, and
mm,
we're trying to find guys to play music with, and we don't really know what's happening. We're basically all we didn't really start out as friends, but we kind of knew each other from the scene, and we're like, okay, this person has been through the same thing I've been through. They know I don't want to mess around. They don't want to mess around either. Let's go do something serious and
mm,
pursue this in the correct manner. And I think that's what the band name means. Well, it had a meaning. Obviously, like that drummer came up with that name at that time because of something he had in his mind. But the word has turned out to be so much more powerful because of everything we've been through since, and understanding that, oh, this is kind of working out. This is like an antidote to everything that happened before. It kind of made it make sense, or all the sacrifices that we thought were in vain.
mm.
Maybe sacrifice is a heavy word, but when you pursue like a musical project, you tend to leave some things behind, and your environment's like, what are you doing? You're never going to make money off of this. You're wasting your time. And it's nice to see that it's sometimes if you really work on it and you find people that you feel that connection with, things kind of work out.
100%. I think the biggest thing, I think you like said something very valuable there, and I think a lot of people experience it. And I now you said that the word it now means more than just what the guy represented at the start, the drummer. How people get so much negative like impact when they want to pursue something. Everyone's so like fixated on guaranteed like money or guaranteed job, guaranteed like outcomes. It's the gambles. Like a lot of people are successful in life because they've taken gambles, and if you're not willing to do that, that's just my perspective. But if you're not willing to take those extra steps, how you ever gonna like feel like what viewpoint or not viewpoint, but what sort of like passion or what sort of like dream that you actually really want to do for the rest of your life. I feel like it's nice to take a gamble and take things. I experience it as well, like the whole YouTube stuff I'm doing. I get a lot of people having hate on me, but I'm loving it. And as you said, the work you put in is gonna pay off. So it's all worth it. When you say that
Yeah.
drummer,
You gotta take the hate with the the love. It comes with a package.
yeah, 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 exactly. When you also said that drummer, I'm assuming he's not in the band currently at the moment, or is he still with the members?
No, he left a long time ago, and we've switched to a couple of drummers. It's been kind of our Achilles heel. But our lineup has been steady for some time now.
Nice, nice. What about
Yeah,
advice? So, based on what you just said, and obviously how you're like, even though there's different people maybe doing different side projects on top of
yeah.
the band, still focusing on what they need to focus on. What sort of advice would you say with like with the second chance, with the title of your band? Like, what do you when you create the music you create and you play it to your audience? Like, is there a teaching that you want to express to them to say within this song and within who we are? I want you to feel like you can never give up on what you want to do. Would you ever give any advice? Like, is there any advice like that within your music? Or if there's not, what sort of advice would you be able to give to people out there to get a second chance or make that second chance?
I don't know if I'm comfortable giving advice as an underground musician. Like, I don't know if people should follow this as financial advice, but I would say what I learned from this process, and I would definitely bestow this to my younger self if I could, is um, I wouldn't say never give up on something because sometimes you might just be stuck in your head. Like, this might not be what you really want out of life. It might not make you really happy, and other avenues are not, an embarrassment. It might just be, some current fixation you have. But if that's legitimately what you love and you want to do, what I would say is, I used to be very attached to the outcome. So I would I would be in a state of mental suffering. Like, not exactly because anyone, was doing that to me. I was doing it to myself.
Mm,
Of being, this has to come out this way and we have to do this. And I was doing a lot of things and involved with a lot of people I didn't really gel with. And this has taught me that, oh, you need to live now. Like, you need to love the process, even if the song turns out like, is available on streaming and no one listens to it. You gotta be sure that you're loving this day to day where you're tracking vocals or you're working with the other guys. It has to be a fun experience. There's no glamour in this I'm suffering for art narrative that we used to see a lot of. But I feel like there's been like a mental shift, because everything is online and everyone is available these days. So um, a lot of these myths about music have been, I don't know what's the correct word, destigmatized. Like, through the
mm,
years, they've been, kind of restored, and people can see through them and understand it was like, oh, it's the glory of the past. It's not this glamorous thing I have in my head. Does
mm.
that make any sense?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. People just like you. Everyone makes something bigger than what it is. It's kind of like when people um, revolve celebrities around their own life. It's like you can't
Yeah.
take an image of something and make it what you think it is when you have no idea what the experience is. That's what I'm getting from it. If that's what you mean, that's what I'm getting from it.
Oh, what just came to me. Have you seen that movie, that Pixar movie Soul?
No, not yet. No.
Okay, well, spoiler alert, because it's exactly what I'm going to. It's about this jazz pianist that, his career doesn't turn out the way he wants to, and he's obsessed with becoming this musician, and he has this epiphany. I'm not gonna go into detail, but he remembers all the moments in his life where he interacts with like his loved ones and his pets and, people that influenced him, and when he played music, but because he loved it, not because he was expecting something from it. And he finds the joy in all of those little moments, and he has this epiphany that, even though that was my life, even though I was expecting to have this life that I was, holding off on, I still lived like a pretty, um I had a lovely time.
Mm,
I
mm.
think that's kind of the main point.
Fair. That makes a bit more sense now. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I totally get what you mean. Yeah, people do get lost track. I do think what you mentioned about social media, from my like just from what I've been going through, I do think that's a massive impact, and I feel like it doesn't help the journey as well because people Because when you see someone else look like they've gotten something, let's say they've got like a record deal, or like they've got so many followers, or they're making X amount of money, you're imagining
Yeah.
that you want that outcome, but then you're blinding yourself because you're not enjoying your process just to have fun and to do what you want to do. I think social media plays a part in it myself. Well, from my perspective.
Hmm.
Let me just
Yeah.
carry on. No, I was going to take a sip of water, but carry on.
Okay. Um, I'm not. I understand that concept. I'm not as enamored with social media as most people are. Like I can separate myself from that fake, picturesque success that comes out. But I do get what you're saying, and I do feel like a lot of people are victims to that. What I would say is, like technology is it's not either positive or negative. Like you influence it and you let it affect your life in the capacity you like allow it to. So,
Mm,
it's a necessary tool. We have to promote our music on social media. We have to even we as a band, like sometimes we have to promote this image of prosperity, for lack of a better term, in order to have people like be drawn to us. You know, obviously we're not hyped all the time. We have like our personal issues and
yeah.
even tensions within the band. You have to like project that. Um, but it's a necessary evil, and you got to compete with every other artist in the world because all the music is like available in your fingertips. So I
Yeah.
understand that, but at the same time, I feel like people that really care about music, and there's a lot of them, also see authenticity and they understand when you're being fake and understand when you're writing something to match someone else's vision, some commercial aspect, than when you're like doing it for yourself and being a legitimate artist.
Mm,
Because a lot of times you would think this band is trying to like tick those this artist is trying to tick those boxes to sound like X, Y, and Z that are currently popular, and it doesn't work out. And then someone just plays something completely new, something completely like from their heart and their soul, and it just vibes with people, and you have no idea how it happened.
yeah, there's a lot of luck. I do think there's a lot of luck that does come into it.
Yeah.
It's not forced. And as you said, that one person that does one thing out of their own natural like heart of what they love, people are drawn to it because no one wants to listen to the same thing all the time. People want something new. When you hear
Yeah.
something new, it is quite refreshing. Because we're talking about a lot of like music in itself with like having a more of a meaning towards it. What I want to know is what is it like in like. But the next question I wanted to ask is what was it like in like Greece, or what is currently like in Greece at the moment with like mental health? Because your concept is obviously more passionate, and the meaning behind the name is obviously second chance. It's the reason why I asked this is because the UK is very up and down. We have our like struggles. We have a lot of people, even like myself, that struggles with a lot of mental health. It's very like a negative like sort of country. It can be a lot of hate
Hmm.
towards people. Even though we're trying to focus on like the beautiful stuff, I feel like there is a lot of hate around, obviously, hate around the UK. I want to know if it's quite similar like in yourself, because in the UK we have a quite similar sort of atmospherical, I guess, viewpoint like America. I feel like America is probably worse than us, but we have very like similar sort of viewpoints.
Yeah.
But I want to know what it's like with Greece. Like, do you feel like there's people within your country that struggle with a lot of mental health? Is it something that people don't struggle with? People just kind of get on with what they need to get on with. And how does that affect your music? Like, does your music play a part in that? Do you let your music help people within your country or your audience in itself to lift themselves up?
I think um, we do have very similar mental health issues because our country has been very I don't know what I can't recall the word right now, but we went through a financial crisis, back in '08, and we're probably the country that does worse, like all of Europe. It created a domino effect that still affects us today. The young, like millennials and Gen Z, their working conditions are, worse than ever.
Mm,
I would say there's a slight upwards trend, like this past, like maybe 1 or 2 years. Um, So we definitely have a lot of the same mental health issues. I think there were like statistics that we were the country with most suicides in Europe,
Oh
like
wow.
I think 3 or 4 years ago. Not to make this like a downer, but
Yeah, yeah,
like
no.
just crossed my mind. Um, to be honest, I've been living me personally. I've been living the past 4 years in New York City, so that's like a whole other game, with
Wait,
mental health.
so you're in America
We
right
don't
now?
even want to go into that.
Are you in
No,
America right now?
I'm in Greece. No, I'm in Athens, Greece.
Oh,
The way it works is, yeah, I make a lot of plans around the band and vice versa. So we get to do shows and then I go back.
ah,
Um, but yeah, both. I think obviously the states are worse, but at heart I'm a Greek and I want my people to be doing better. And I think it influences the rest of the guys to write songs in the terms of escapism. And most of the times I feel like the music you write, like if you write a depressing song, that doesn't make you depressed. That makes a person that listens to it and is going through the same struggles um, feel that they're not alone.
mm,
At least that's what I get out of music. I don't turn to happy music to be happy. I turn to the feelings I'm feeling so I can feel that I can feel a sort of empathy.
mm.
And I feel like that's the attraction to music like ours and similar bands to us. Um, yeah, I think I answered that.
Yeah, no, 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 perfect.
Yeah.
No, you have. Yeah, it's I do remember that crash. I didn't know it was 2008. I remember something about Greece financially going down at one point. It's a bit of a blur to me, but what you said
I mean,
it
it was the whole world, but Greece was affected most because we were borrowing money from the European Union for like 20 years or something with never paying them back. Basically, our government was, just regurgitating loans,
mm,
and it really came crashing down that year. Yeah.
mm. No, no, I roughly do remember that. But yeah, what you've said about like Gen Z and like the next generation and mental health, it's very similar to us. Like I just want to know what it was kind of like and how your music played a part within it, because it is very like uplifting sort of stuff. It is like there is, as you said, the whole like depression sort of stuff. I feel like that portrays in your music. So when someone listens to it, they're like, "Oh, I'm going through that same thing too," but I know I need to power through it. So I wanted to know how like it all played
Yeah.
together and if there was like an environmental like influence within the music that you play. But yeah, it's very similar to what we deal with. As you also said, I do think USA is a lot harder. I do think theirs is probably worse than what we have. Just to briefly, because you mentioned you go to New York, does your band play internationally? Because I know you mentioned you got something coming up soon. I'm not sure if you want to discuss it briefly, but did your band play internationally at all?
Awesome segue. We're playing one show on January 17th in Sofia, Bulgaria. That's our first show outside Greece.
Oh, nice.
And we're slowly trying to start playing gigs in Europe, but also obviously America because that's where I live. And I haven't really played a bunch of shows with other bands and stuff, but I'm more aware of that scene than the other guys are because I live there.
Mm.
And we're just talking to booking agents and seeing what makes sense. But first, we gotta put these songs out there. Make more songs. Make people aware that we're a threat to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to me being curious. So were you born in Greece or were you born in America?
Yes. No, I just went to the States 4 years ago. I started working there.
Oh, so when you
Yeah.
say start working there, do you have to actually like travel from Greece to America, or do you work from home? Is it like a remote type of job?
I used to work remote at this. I was geographically in the States, but I my work is remote.
Fair, fair.
So that's
Interesting.
why I can get to travel a lot. You know.
Interesting, interesting. I don't know if this plays a part in it, but that's probably why like you got very such. If I offend you, I'm so sorry. But your English is like very on point. I would have never like.
Why would that offend me?
I don't know. I feel like some people get offended by like little things. So I always, bro, in this world, anything you say is offensive. I just have to secure myself and just say in case I may offend you.
Yeah,
But no, your English is very, very on point.
yeah. I
um,
mean, I live in New York, so I get what you're saying because it's supposed to be the motherlode of those people, but I think for the most part, I'm making a gross generalization, but anywhere you go in the world, especially if you've lived there for some time, people are essentially the same. They want the same things. Most of them are nice, not crazy, and we should all just take a step back and be more calm with our environment.
yeah, 100%. If we all actually came together, I feel like we'll be a lot um, more prosperous, like humanity.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's in it for themselves, especially here in the UK. Everyone's in it for themselves. I think we get a lot of influence. I don't know why, but it must be because the way it must be the news that we get and the stuff we see on TV and how like when people go on the
Yeah.
internet, a lot of the influence. I feel like a lot of it's influenced by American stuff. I probably see a lot more American stuff than I probably see UK stuff in the UK, and I don't know why that's the case.
Oh, even when I lived in Greece, yeah, I had the same issue. I was more aware of what was happening politically in the US than what was happening in my hometown.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so weird. You've mentioned a few things about like the length of your band, how you guys obviously came about, and then obviously the meaning behind your music, and touching about mental health. So I just want to kind of finish on basically just like if there's any sort of experiences that your band history, that you've gone through, and what's kept you going. So as we've discussed the meaning of your band's name, Second Chance. Obviously, little aspects of your history of coming together from different places, and different musicians and obviously, well, groups, then pushing something forward. Given that sort of concept of never giving up, and trying to make sure that the music you display your audience can relate to. So I want to know if there has been dark times, if there has been struggles within your band when you're making music, the stuff you're currently doing, touring, soon to come. How do you keep on
Mm.
moving forward? How do you, because we had 2020, pandemic hit, COVID hit, there was a lockdown period. Like, how do you guys keep motivated, keep moving, and just going like, we can't wait to see how 2025 goes. We can't wait to see how 2026 goes. The next project, the list goes on. How do you guys stay motivated?
We were kind of born in the pandemic, and also while I was making the decision to, immigrate. So I think, being born out of these circumstances as a band, you already have a pretty tough, background. So I feel like most of it has been smooth sailing. There's obviously been dark times, mostly tensions within the band, previous band members that we weren't seeing eye to eye. And these are painful, especially when there's so many of us, because like we're a six-member band
Mm,
and, I live abroad. Um, People, we're all like, we're not in our early 20s. We're later in life. We have like jobs. Some of us are maybe trying to like start families. So, we have other conflicts. We were not always like hanging out together. We're not rehearsing like every week or something. So,
mm,
something might get misconstrued. It's all those little things. It's not some grand struggle. Um, but that just shows me personally um, how in love with what we're doing we really are, because we power through it, and it's not there's not even a doubt in our head that we're gonna do this record. We're gonna do this song. We just keep on pushing through. Like if you don't want to be a part of it, you're just naturally um, gonna drop from the band, or it's gonna really show, and it's gonna affect your performance. And why would you even go for this? Because obviously the rewards are not monetary. There's nothing to be gained. Like you know
mm.
how you say it. You like not spiritually. It's supposed to be its own reward. Um, yeah, it's like doing making music is its own reward, and that's how it should be. Yeah.
No, definitely, definitely. It's like you said, it's not trying to focus on outcome. And as you said, from what you've learned, and it seems like the band members are now kind of, well, if I'm just gathering from the information you're telling me, it's all like they're all on the same mindset and all on that same path, that growth that you mentioned. you're now doing it more because you enjoy it and you love it and you just want to see what happened. And I tell you what, this is my perspective. When you do that, more outcomes come, because when you're not realizing
Yeah.
it and you're enjoying it and you're just pushing content, songs, releases, like live shows, the list goes on, it just gets better and better, and the more results just keep on happening. Is when you don't really actually pay attention to it.
Mhm. I've been in a couple of other bands, and this is the most camaraderie I've ever felt with a project personally. And saying this is, I understand that anytime you put out something, you're gonna feel it's the best thing you've ever done. But I do think this about our album,
Mm,
and it has a lot to do with, maybe I'm not being completely objective, but it has a lot to do with how I personally felt releasing it, which I was very proud of it, and I was very attached to the memories that came with it because we were, it was born out of a very friendly um, spite, let's say, with each other, where
mm.
you disagree with one another because that's always what happens in creative process. Actually, one of our songs, Impetus, is about that. But at the end of the day, these are people you trust and you make this baby with. You feel like this, yeah, camaraderie. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. No, I totally get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. It's everyone's all in like a sort of position where they want to come to this band rehearsals. They want to come make music, and yeah, you should be proud. Like you put the work in. Like no one shouldn't be like disheartened on what they create. Every single creation you make is just gonna get better and better and better because you're improving over time. It's like exercising. You're gonna go to the gym and exercise. Your muscles are gonna get stronger and eventually be able to lift more. So you're only gonna get better and better and better and better. So yeah, 100% be proud of what you've
Yeah.
done. Your band's done an amazing job. As I said, I've only heard one song, but the more I hear, I think, damn, like, well, I'm gonna listen to a lot more, and I'm gonna listen to the album. But yeah, I'm very impressed by you guys. Like, I do feel like you've got it. You've got that. It's hard to describe it, but you got that it. And not everyone has an it thing. Like, people have talent that they need to keep on pushing. But you guys, from what I've seen, and I've when I say this, I actually mean it, mean it, because it's my most honest opinion. You got that. Like, you've got that it thing. All you need is more people to hear you, and then yeah, hopefully your career just goes flying up.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Nah, no worries. Is there any final words you want to say, Staffis? We're gonna finish up the interview. Any final words you want to say about your band? Everything, people, the public watching, everything you need to know is gonna be in the link in the description. But is there any final words you want to say at all?
If you're around, if you live in Sofia, Bulgaria, we'll be there in January 17th. Otherwise, tune for more stuff to come from us. Like we're gonna release new music hopefully around next year. And thank you for this. Thank you for this interview as well. And we are Saisei.
No worries. No, thank you for the opportunity. Look, I've reached out to a few different band members, and band members have reached out to me. It means the world. You guys allow me, because this is all new for me in a way, and I've only done a few, so it means the world that you guys are allowing this to happen. So I appreciate you guys coming on. What is it? Yeah, I'm here with Saisei, lead singer, Staffis, the clean vocalist. It is obviously a harsh vocalist as well. Guys, the opportunity is amazing, as I keep on preaching all the time, to have here. Everything you need to know is in a link in the description. People, their social media page. The album is currently out. Just like Staffis said, they're in Bulgaria on the 17th of January. So anyone in Bulgaria who watches my YouTube channel, people, go and support them, jump on that. If there's any links you can give, that'd be fantastic, that I can obviously share in any way. That'd be fantastic, Staffis, if you can do that. But guys, it's been a massive pleasure. I don't know if there's any, I know I said final words, but if there's any one more thing you want to say, or we can peace out.
I can't believe this interview actually happened. Took so many tries. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, audience out there, if you want to know
Yeah.
Kaiba Crew, yeah, we had like three schedulations that we cancelled, and eventually it happened. It took us some time, but we got here.
See, this is the real advice. If you power through, miracles can happen.
Yeah, people, be patient. Be patient. Everyone's schedule is different.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen. Unfortunately, I made a mistake as well. But mistakes happen. Yeah. But end of the day, power through. Like you mentioned, be patient, be humble, be generous, and things will happen. But I'm over and out. I'm Kyrie with Staffers from Saisei. Peace.